Hello students, let us learn about chelotropic reactions. Chelotropic reactions are those in which two sigma bonds are formed on same atom or two sigma bonds are broken on same atom. Let us see some example. So here we have SO2, sulfur dioxide with a lone pair on it, and we have the 1, 3 butadiene. So butadiene is the alkene and we have SO2. So we can see here that two sigma bonds are formed on the same atom. That is, if you see, it is again chelotropic reactions are pericyclic reactions, and hence we can see there is going to be a cyclic movement of electrons to form a cyclic bond. So here we can see here that the lone pair on SO2 will first form a bond, that is a single bond, one sigma bond is formed, and then the electrons will move in a concerted manner, and then again the double bond will form a bond with SO2 to give rise to another sigma bond. So here you can see that on the same atom, that is on SO2, there are two sigma bonds which are formed, which is going to give rise to this product. So this is called as a chelotropic reaction. So wherein a single atom will be forming two sigma bonds to another alkene. So another example is, you can see in the example 2. So here what is happening is, the two sigma bonds are broken on the same atom. So here we have N double bond N. So the quaternary nitrogen here is first broken, or you can see here there's a negative charge on the other nitrogen, so it's going to form a triple bond, and then we can see here that the quaternary nitrogen and the sigma bond is broken, and again the double bond here is again broken to give rise to another double bond here which is going to form a 1, 3 butadiene, and finally it is going to give rise to the elimination of nitrogen. So elimination of the N triple bond N is happening here. And one more thing we should observe in chelotropic reaction is that the atom which is always getting eliminated, or which is getting eliminated, should be stable. If it is not stable, then chelotropic eliminations is not possible. So here there is nitrogen which is going to be stable, and this reaction is happening thermally. And since the nitrogen can be stable, hence there is going to be the removal of the atom from this cyclic group, so which is called as a chelotropic elimination. So here we can see that the two sigma bonds are broken on the same atom, that is N double bond N. So next let us see chelotropic reactions of alkenes with singlet carbenes. So singlet carbenes are these, that is CH2 with a lone pair on it. So this is having the, so this is the CH2, that is the carbene with a lone pair on it. So we can have a look that there is the alkene which is going to react with singlet carbene. So which is again a concerted reaction, okay, which will give rise to a cyclopropane as the product. And they are again stereospecific. We can see here that the double bond, on the same side of the double bond we have the CH3 group, and the product are also on the same side, which is going to be the cis product. And once there is the trans alkene, we have the CH3 and CH3 on the opposite direction of the double bond. And similarly, the product also is going to have in the trans. So one is having the wedge and the other is having the dashed CH3. So this is how the chelotropic reactions take place between alkene and carbene. So let us look at the mechanism how the chelotropic reactions are happening. So first let us see the orbital structure of a carbene. So singlet carbenes are ones which have not undergone any hybridization, or which are not got excited to that is the next level. So this is the carbon hybridization, if you have to write down, or the electronic distribution in its orbital. So we have the hybridization in this way. So that is sp2. So this is the hybridization of the carbene, that is sp2 hybridization. That means that it is singlet, means there is no excitation. See, if it is sp3, then one of the electron from the s would have jumped to the p empty p orbital, and it would have formed the sp3. Usually how the carbon form bonds with how they form bonds with 4 different atoms. But since this is a singlet carbene, so what happens is there is always going to be a empty p orbital, and we have one non-bonded group, that is nothing but the electron pair that is being represented here, and we have 2 electrons, single electrons, which are going to form bond with R. So here the R and the another R is nothing but the bond between the carbene, the bond between the carbon, that is one electron of the carbon which is forming a bond with R group, and another electron of carbon which is forming a bond with R group. Okay, so now all the 3 bonds have been represented here. So this is the S here, that is sp2 hybrid orbital here, and we have another sp2 and another sp2 here. So now what is left is we are left with one p orbital. So this p orbital has been represented in this way. So this is nothing but the empty p orbital. Okay, so this is the how we can draw the molecular orbitals or the structure of the carbene. And this is how we are going to represent the HOMO and LUMO. So the HOMO of carbene is nothing but, HOMO stands for highest occupied molecular orbital, and LUMO is lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. So highest occupied molecular orbital is one in which the electrons are filled in the orbital. So that is why this is going to be the HOMO. And the lowest unoccupied molecular orbital is going to be the empty p orbital. Now, these two are the ones which will interact with the alkene to give rise to the chelotropic reaction. Okay, so let us look at how the reaction is happening with respect to the orbitals, how they are going to react with the alkene. So this is how it is being represented. So we already have discussed about this, that is the structure of carbene. Right, so we have the carbene which is having 3 sp2 hybridization, 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals or hybrid bonds. So one is going to be this, and the other 2 are which is bonded to R and R, and there's one empty p orbital. Okay, so this empty p orbital, that is the first diagram which we can see here. So the empty p orbital, and we know that whenever a bond is formed, it is formed between the HOMO of one substrate and the LUMO of another substrate, or in this case it is between HOMO of alkene and LUMO of carbene, or HOMO of carbene and LUMO of alkene. Okay, so whichever is more suitable, that is what is being written in this diagram, and we will see which is the possible way in which the carbene is going to interact with the alkene. So when you look at the first interaction, so here we know that a bond has to be formed, or an orbital can overlap only when the signs of the different signs on the lobes of the p orbitals are matching. So here we have the negative charge on the alkene, and also we have the negative charge on alkene. Okay, so this we can expect it to be a bonding interaction, but we can see here that the empty p orbital on the carbene, that is this one, the empty p orbital on carbene is interacting with both the orbitals of the alkene. Okay, means one interaction means one p orbital can overlap with another p orbital, or one s can overlap with another s. But here we can see that the interaction, though it is bonding, the one empty p orbital of carbene is interacting with 2 p orbitals of alkene. So that's why this interaction, though it is though it is a bonding interaction, but we can see that this symmetry is forbidden. So that is why we cannot expect an interaction of HOMO of alkene and LUMO of carbene. Now let us see the second type of the interaction. So here we can observe here that we are now considering the LUMO of alkene. Okay, so when you see the LUMO of alkene, we can see that See, in HOMO of alkene, both of the lobes are having the negative sign, or both will be having the positive sign. But here in the LUMO of alkene, what happens is one of the lobe is having negative and the other lobe will be having positive. So now these are going to interact in such a way that the there's a HOMO of carbene is going to interact with LUMO of alkene in such a way that we can see here we have the sp2 hybrid or the HOMO of the carbene, and we have the lobe that is the negative and the positive. So the negative will interact with negative and positive will interact with positive. So here you can see that each and every lobes of the two different substrates are interacting, and there is symmetry allowed, and also there is bonding interaction between the two orbitals. So that is why we can expect the carbene or the chelotropic reaction between LUMO of alkene, and we can expect it with the HOMO of carbene. And here we can see that it is suprafacial. So LUMO of alkene is suprafacial. It is interacting on the same sides, or that's on the negative lobes of the alkene, and here the carbene is antifacial, because you can see here how the positive and how the non-bonded electrons are bonding with the alkene. That's why we are referring it as the antifacial. So this is how the interaction between the alkene with singlet carbenes is possible, and which is going to give rise to the chelotropic reaction, because here the carbene CH2 group is bonded, is having having the two sigma bonds which are bonded to the alkene, right? And it is the same atom which is bonded with two sigma bonds with the alkene. So that's why it is again an example of the chelotropic reaction. Now next, let us learn about chelotropic elimination. So in chelotropic elimination, the atom X is normally bound to atoms in such a way that elimination will give rise to a stable molecule. The most common examples involve 5-membered rings. So let us have a look at some examples. So this is the general representation of chelotropic reaction. So here the X is going to get eliminated only if it is going to be stable. Otherwise it will not undergo the chelotropic elimination. So we can see here how this is also a concerted mechanism, a pericyclic reaction. There is a bond broken and formed simultaneously, and it is happening in a cyclic manner. And finally it is going to give rise to this alkene, okay, and it is going to give rise to the X, which is going to be the stable and which is getting eliminated from the cyclic group. So some examples, again there is elimination of nitrogen, and it is a thermal reaction. So first step will be, since it is N double bond N, one of the nitrogen will be having positive and the other nitrogen, which is not bonded to the carbon and which is not bonded to the cyclic group, will be having the negative charge. So we are going to, that is, the reaction is going to start from the electron rich center. So here the negative charge is going to move to give rise to the triple bond, and then there will be cyclic movement of electrons in such a way that finally there will be the elimination of N2, and it is going to give rise to the 1,3 butadiene as the product with the elimination of N2. So this is an example for the chelotropic elimination. Similarly, you can consider another example. So here it is the similar example wherein SO2 is being eliminated. And here this is the example of the ring opening. So we should know that it is again a 5-membered ring, and you are having the SO2. Sulfur dioxide is a good, it can be a stable molecule and it can easily get eliminated. So we are talking about thermal reactions, and it is going to give rise to disrotatory. So thermal reaction will give rise to disrotatory, and it is going to start with again the SO2 which is bonded sigma with another adjacent carbon atom. Okay, so there is going to be cyclic movement of the electrons, and there will be removal of SO2. So once there is the cyclic movement of electron, it is again going to give rise to 1,3 butadiene. And one more thing what we should observe here is this rotatory motion of the movement of or the ring opening is always going to be either both clockwise or both anti-clockwise. It is going to be both inverse, or it is going to be both outwards. Okay, that is one clockwise, one anti-clockwise, and or the other way around, one anti-clockwise and the other one clockwise. So looking at this disrotatory or conrotatory, we should carefully write down how the CH3 group are going to be present in the final product. So if you are considering in this way, okay, that is the pencil mark which I have written here. So even that is also the disrotatory motion. That is, both are going outwards, right? So both are outwards. Both are outwards. So once there is a movement of the there is a ring opening of this 5-membered ring, we can observe that CH3 and CH3 will be outside of the ring. Okay, so similarly there's one more example here also, but here we can see the first example it is cis, and in the second example it is trans, right? And here, or if you observe, it is again going to be stereospecific. It is going to give rise to the trans product itself. So if we are rotating it either inwards or outwards also, we can see how the CH3 and CH3 are going to be trans to each other. So it is going to give rise to the same product. So here, so this is the example for the chelotropic elimination. So similarly, one more example. So here again there is a 5-membered ring, and when we look at the double bonds, so it is 4 pi bonds are there here. So 1, 2 and 3, 4, and it is going to satisfy 4n pi system. So we know that for all 4n pi system, thermal reactions will be conrotatory and photochemical reaction will be disrotatory. So it is, if it is given as thermal, then it is going to be conrotatory. Okay, so in the conrotatory fashion, we have to open the ring. So once in conrotatory fashion, if the ring is open, it is going to give rise to this product which is written here. Okay, so this will be the product. So similarly, one more example. So this is again another example. So here the substrate is the cis. It is both are wedge, and it is going to give rise to the wedge. And here the trans is going to give rise to the trans product. So this is one thing which we should remember in chelotropic also, that they are highly stereospecific. They are going to give rise to the same kind of product which the reactants have. Okay. So similar example. So this is a bicyclic group here. It is having SO2 again as so always the hint for chelotropic reaction is always look at the atom which is present in the reactant. So if it is an atom like SO2, N2, CO, CN, so they are all highly stable molecules and stable atoms. So once these atoms are present, we can easily make out that it is belonging to the chelotropic reaction. So this is again another example. So here you can see how there is going to be it is a thermal reaction, and by concerted movement of the electrons, we can easily eliminate CO2. And here there is one more substrate, okay, which is going to give rise to cycloaddition, and it is 4 plus 2. So here we have 4 electrons and we have 2 electrons here. So it is an example for 4 plus 2 electron, which is going to give rise to the cyclohexene, and it is going to give rise to the product. So always look at the reactant and kindly write down the answer. So one more example, here we can see that there is a CO group. So carbonyl group is going to be a good elimination group. So it can easily get eliminated from the substrate, and hence we can see here that CO can get eliminated from the group here. So the first step will be, it is going to have it is a 4 plus 2 cycloaddition reaction. Here there is 4 electrons plus 2 electrons here. So it is going to happen a 4 plus 2 cycloaddition reaction, which is going to give rise to a bicyclic group like this. So which is having a bridgehead here. This can also be rewritten as in this form, with a bridgehead here with CO group. So CO group is here. So now there is going to be the chelotropic elimination, and that is chelotropic elimination with the CO carbonyl group as getting eliminated. Again, write down the arrow marks and show the concerted removal of the electron, that is CO. So we can write here on the arrow mark as minus whichever group is getting eliminated. So here CO is getting eliminated, so write it as minus CO, and beside that chelotropic reaction. And finally it is going to give rise to this highly substituted benzene. Okay, so this is how these are some of the examples of the chelotropic reactions. So similarly, one more example is there. So we can see here how there is the elimination here. Again, it is a chelotropic elimination of CO. So CO is getting eliminated here. And first step will always be the concerted reaction. Okay, so in the concerted reaction, there is going to be the movement of the electrons, which is finally going to remove this carbonyl group CO. And then finally there can be another intermediate. So there's an intermediate formed which is formed, and this intermediate can again further react in a cyclic manner, because there are pi electrons and there are also there is N double bond O nitro group here. And finally we are going to it is going to give rise to this cyclobutene ring. Okay, so that is nothing but how we are getting this is there is N double bond O, which is going to form a bond with carbonyl group, and there is the double bond which is going to give rise to a double bond between nitrogen and carbon. So that is what has been written here. So there is a double bond between nitrogen and carbon, and then the carbonyl group is retained here. So this is going to give rise to the cyclic group as the product. Okay, so these are some of the examples for the chelotropic reaction. Thank you very much.